This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, a tragic ending. Days after going missing, a woman and 3-year-old boy are found dead near Sheet Harbour.
Calling in the police, Nova Scotia's Liberal leader asks for an investigation into his own party following a scathing report by the Auditor General.
And on strike, hundreds of Autoport workers in Eastern Passage hit the picket lines.
The taste of spring continues on Wednesday, but bring the umbrella as shower chances increasing, then periods of rain and gusty winds Wednesday night into Thursday before our cold front. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. We begin with a tragic end in the search for a missing 3-year-old boy and a 36-year-old woman.
Lucas Robert Cooper and Holly Jean Cooper were found dead this afternoon after going missing in the community of Ruth Falls near Sheet Harbour. Both Holly and Lucas's remains were found on the shoreline of a body of water roughly 100 meters from where they were last seen early Saturday morning. Police say their deaths are not considered suspicious, but they are still investigating. They have not confirmed the relationship between the woman and the young boy.
The RCMP tells CBC News that the tragedy has hit the family and the police force hard. A number of search and rescue teams were in the area today looking for Lucas and Holly when their bodies were found. The leader of the Liberal Party of Nova Scotia has called in police to investigate his own party. That's as a result of a stinging report released today by the province's Auditor General. Kim Adair has accused the Liberals of having, quote, concealed and delayed reporting on the misuse of funds by a party staffer who was able to get away with it undetected for years. Jean LaRoche has the details.
The Auditor General has been trying to get to the bottom of what happened for almost 2 years. That's when the AG's office first got a call from election officials about the Liberal Party's financial statement. It dealt with the 2021 fiscal year, but it was released in the spring of 2022. In it, there was a note about almost $200,000 in reimbursement from a former staffer. Today, Kim Adair suggested party officials were aware of the problem well before they made it public, but held off because the 2021 election was looming. She says it's now up to others to determine whether what happened broke the law.
That remains to be seen. What was important to me is that we got the report out today based on what we did know. I think it's now up to the police parties, RCMP for example, and the lawyers to determine whether there is anything criminal here.
Adair makes 2 recommendations in her report. One, that the law be changed to give Election Nova Scotia more power to oversee political party finances and to investigate abuses, and that the Liberals call in the police. The current Liberal leader says he's already done that.
I was first provided a brief and read this report on February 13th. The next day I wrote the RCMP myself in line with recommendation number 1 and urged them to look into this matter further, and certainly our doors will be open if they feel that that's necessary. This is certainly a situation that I've inherited as leader, but we're going to take it very seriously and get to the bottom of it.
Although he's called in police, he says what he knows about what happened and why is based on what he's heard or been told and not on first-hand knowledge. He says party officials who were in charge at the time have been replaced by others, and that financial oversight has been tightened to try to ensure something like that never happens again. Well, as you'd expect, Premier Tim Houston has been quick to suggest what happened is indicative of the official opposition that he's facing in this House.
Very serious situation, misappropriation of public funds. So it's a frightening thing for Nova Scotians, and it would be hard to imagine that group of people managing billions of dollars.
That's an obvious reference to the fact that he does not think the Liberals could manage the books of the province. Police have been called in. What happens next will depend on their investigation. Jean LaRoche, CBC News at Province House.
Meanwhile, the spring session at the Nova Scotia Legislature opened today with a bill from the government intended to overhaul the regulation of energy in the province. Natural Resources Minister Tory Rushton's bill would split the Utility and Review Board into 2 new entities. One will focus on regulating public utilities in the energy sector, and the other will be responsible for the rest of the UARB's current mandate. The other key change is the creation of an independent energy system operator. Until now, that has been the role of Nova Scotia Power. Rushton says the changes are key to the province achieving its clean energy goals.
This is a big step in changing how the system is regulated. We're making it more accountable and transparent to ratepayers. We're making it competitive. And for the first time, we're aligning that with our climate change goals. Ultimately, this bill means we're continuing to protect ratepayers through a better system that chooses the lowest cost option for clean, reliable electricity.
Opposition members are concerned about what the changes could cost ratepayers and the fact the legislation has no provisions focused on affordability. A strategy that proposes solutions to the housing crunch faced by Black families in Nova Scotia is almost finished. It comes on the heels of a province-wide strategy that was released last fall. Shayna Luck has the story.
In Cherrybrook, 8 African Nova Scotian families are settling into their new homes after moving in at Christmas time.
Well, some were living, in hotels, right? So that's because there was no more room left in the shelters.
Akuma Holdings built the affordable housing development for families with young children who don't have a stable living situation.
Those who had their own homes, there's been so many of them who've had them taken away from them, right? They've lost them. I mean, Africville is a prime example.
Miller points to examples like the demolition of homes in Africville and the way some Black families were denied clear title to their land. That's meant, over time, these families weren't able to use real estate as a foundation for wealth. For the last 2 years, a council of African Nova Scotian leaders has been working together with government funding to develop a housing needs assessment and strategy to fix that. Sunday Miller looks forward to it being released soon.
It's about time to listen to the community.
19 community consultations happened last year, including here in Upper Hammonds Plains. Curtis Wiley facilitated the discussion.
People shared their experiences with not being able to even gain secure rental housing.
He says when people have to accept housing anywhere they can find it, that scatters the historically Black community. The report is being written by a Toronto consulting company with experience developing these reports for governments. But this is the first time they've worked directly for a community group.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really reflective of what the community is actually looking for, and hopefully energizing and to them to be able to take on some of these new ideas and ventures themselves. And we just are going to need the government to actually help fund those great ideas.
The report is in the final stages now.
It's profound, right? We haven't had a race-driven housing study, I don't think ever conducted that's this comprehensive.
The report is expected to be finished by the end of March, and the community plans to release it in early April. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Upper Hammonds Plains.
There's more reaction tonight to the Houston government announcing it will not proclaim the Coastal Protection Act. It was passed with all-party support back in 2019, but the government has now killed it, instead directing communities to online maps and other tools to make their own decisions about safe places to build. As a result, Nancy Anningson of the Ecology Action Centre says she expects risky coastal development to increase.
There are folks who want to build along the coastline in a way that's not reasonable and sustainable, and we need a government that's going to show true leadership and say, no, you can't do that. You have to build on the part of your property that's safe, and the regulations that were ready a year ago actually gave them a tool to do that, gave them a way of assessing a property to say, if you build here, it's okay. If you build here, it is not okay, and you're not allowed to do that, and they just disposed of it.
I'll talk to Nancy Anningson about the government's decision to scrap the Coastal Protection Act. That's our Newsmaker interview just after 6:30. But right now, let's talk weather with Ryan Snoddon.
And what a nice day today.
What a beautiful day. Yes, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 degrees. Yes, we cracked double digits across parts of the province today, and we're going to hang on to the warm temperatures, but we're going to add in some wet and windy weather, that is for sure. As we can see, the clouds already starting to roll into the southwest of the province. A few showers, some drizzle, and then some steadier periods of rain with this storm system. Very warm air on the front edge of this system, very cold air on the backside. We're going to tap into all of it in the coming days. So first thing we need to know for sure is that this is going to bring a lot of rain, and the heaviest rain, unlike the last system, is going to be in the south and west. Best chances for 30 to 50 millimeters of rain in orange and red here towards the southwest, Yarmouth and Shelburne in particular. Best chance of exceeding 50 millimeters, and you can see amounts will drop off as you work your way east, generally 10 to 30 millimeters for eastern areas of the province. Now, the warm air is really going to stick around. Note the timeline here, temperatures ticking up overnight or remaining steady, and the warm air again with fog patches, and those showers will remain in place throughout the day on Wednesday. Steadier periods of rain late day tomorrow, more so through the evening and into the overnight time frame as this system will begin to edge its way in. Those steadier periods of rain continuing into Thursday morning. Note the differences here. 8, 9 degrees, 10 degrees on the east side of the province. Already the freezing mark, where we go from a brief period of freezing rain to a bit of snow and then a clear out, but temperatures tumbling quickly. And so icy conditions and a rapid temperature drop and freeze up is expected from west to east throughout Thursday morning into the early afternoon. Now, the other thing we're going to have to keep an eye on, apart from the heavy rain, apart from the freeze up, is the wind. And the winds are going to howl with this one, ramping up tomorrow, but more so Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Widespread gusts, 70, 80, and 90 kilometers per hour, and we could see coastal gusts exceeding 90, especially in the south and west of the province. And this wind will again be lingering into Thursday morning, bringing the risk of some power outages. We go from those strong southerly winds to, yes, still gusty, but weaker westerly winds, which will usher in that much cooler air mass. So there's a lot of, obviously a lot of moving elements with this forecast. Tom and Amy will drill into that in more detail. And of course, have your 7-day, because there's a roller coaster ride continues right into the weekend. We'll explain that coming up.
Keeping you on
Fun
your toes.
times.
Yeah,
For
okay.
sure.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Well, almost 240 workers at Autoport in Eastern Passage have gone on strike. Picket lines went up this morning after workers rejected a tentative agreement that had initially been reached earlier this month. The CBC's Paul Palmer reports.
On day one of the strike at Autoport, things have already gotten ugly. Replacement workers have been brought in to drive these import cars away from the dock.
The scabs performing our work, you know, the people here are just seeking a fair, reasonable wage, and you know, instead here we are on the picket lines while people are performing our work.
The strike began at the stroke of midnight after the union rejected the company's latest offer of an 8% raise spaced out over 3 years. Autoport is a subsidiary of CN, and through a statement say they have enacted their contingency plan to protect the continuity of the supply chain. Import cars from overseas are offloaded here and then by rail are sent to other markets.
We are always open to going back to the table as long as the company understands that our members, their employees, deserve a fair wage and a fair and equitable deal.
The union isn't saying how much they are asking for, but they say the two sides are not far apart. Watching someone else do their job today was hard to take, and emotions were showing. It's the first time on a picket line for most of them.
It's a nervous way to be, you know, at times everybody has bills, mortgages, kids are in university. Like I said, people are just trying to make ends meet.
Police were on scene to monitor proceedings and at one point spoke with one of the replacement workers who was holding up traffic by parking in the middle of this busy road the new cars have to travel across. Further up the auto body property, workers were slowing the new vehicles from entering into the compound, but not stopping them completely. A large ship that has pulled into the dock carrying 2,000 new Volkswagens from Germany cannot be offloaded due to the strike. Paul Palmer, CBC News, Eastern Passage.
Mi'kmaq leaders are giving the federal government a deadline of March 8th to respond to their Elver fishery proposal, which was submitted to DFO last December. Earlier this month, the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans, Diane Leboutillier, said she could cancel the upcoming season due to violence, threats, widespread unauthorized harvesting, and potential harm to Elver stocks. Mi'kmaq leader Gerald Toney hopes a resolution can happen. If not, communities need to discuss whether harvesters will continue to fish even with a ban in place.
We feel that she doesn't have the ability to make a unilateral decision to do that without our input. You know, we're trying to have a nation-to-nation relationship with the government, but we're not. It just seems one-sided right now. We've asked, is this a conservation issue? And it basically isn't. It's the, in our opinion, it's the government that is not able to manage it. And we're coming up with ways. We're dealing with industry partners, stakeholders as we speak, and we're scrambling to try to figure out ways to move forward. So it is a sustainable fishery for everyone that's fishing, like the rights-based fishers and the license holders.
Toney says in their proposal, they have plans to have access to 45 rivers and streams with over 500 harvesters. The tiny translucent eels are trapped in the spring in maritime rivers and shipped live to Asia, where they are grown for food. They are a lucrative catch that can sell for up to $5,000 a kilogram. The regional chief with the Assembly of First Nations has filed a lawsuit against 2 Halifax radiologists, alleging they conducted medical tests on her and other band members without their consent. In a statement of claim, Andrea Paul says she and other band members agreed in March of 2017 to undergo MRI scans at the QE2 Health Sciences Centre in Halifax as part of a research project. The claim alleges the chief and 60 band members were secretly subjected to additional scans of their livers without consent. The defendants named in the lawsuit include the 2 Dalhousie University radiologists, as well as the university, the Nova Scotia Health Authority, and the Montreal Heart Institute.
The National Farmers Union says greenhouse gas emissions from farms in Atlantic Canada are declining. The advocacy group says it used data from the Environment and Climate Change Canada to determine that emissions have declined from 1.8 million tons per year of carbon dioxide in the 1990s to about 1.5 million tons in recent years. The group says the decline mainly stems from a reduction in cattle numbers and a reduction in the use of heating oil. The study says the decline has been partly offset by increasing production and the use of nitrogen fertilizer in recent years.
Well, athletes from across the Maritimes are set to compete in the Special Olympics National Championships in Calgary, which begin today.
Among the hundreds of athletes and coaches taking part is a father-son duo from PEI. The CBC's Stacey Jenser caught up with them during a last-minute speed skating practice. Here's a look.
To be honest, it really actually has to be, you have to work hard and you have to train a whole lot. I have my dad. He's a really amazing coach. He's the best coach that I could ever ask for, and he also gives me motivation. He tells me to go hard. He tells me that I gotta go in narrow if there's opportunity.
He's no different than any other athletes we coach. He listens just as well. They are great at listening. The coaching of the Special Olympics is, you give them positive feedback, you cheer them on, and the camaraderie among them is just, it's amazing when you have the Special Olympics athletes competing against each other.
It gives me a chance to compete with the high people and try and beat them. It gives me a chance to prove myself. I'm really excited to see the penguin walk and have the opening ceremonies, be there at the opening ceremonies, make new friends, and hopefully come home with some medals.
Looks like they're going to be ready.
Pretty fast.
Some pretty good speed there for sure. All right, our first quick break on the way. Stay with us.
There is a lot more to come on CBC Nova Scotia News. There is fresh hope for a new ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas. It's not expected to end the war, but could lead to the release of more Israeli hostages.
A new real estate survey suggests more Canadians are waiting for signs that interest rates will decline before making the decision to buy a home.
And there's a live look from our harbor cam tonight. Ryan is back next with his full weather forecast. We're back after this.
Yeah, today was a beauty of a day. Felt like a little bit of a gift, didn't it?
Yeah, but it's never dull in the weather center, right?
No, for sure.
Never get too
It's not going to
complacent.
stay that way.
The nice days are usually the ones where I'm scrambling to know and, of course, forecast what's coming next, right? The calm before the storm.
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, but it definitely hits home with this next system coming in. Have a look at how warm it did get today. We hit, yes, double digits in many areas, the valley in particular, 11, 12 degrees there. We talked about that possibility yesterday and indeed did crack that. Gedgie at 10 and Shelburne at 10 as well at the Sandy Point station, but just a fantastic day across the board. Temperatures still mild at this hour. We've cooled off a little bit in the Halifax area and eastern areas in particular, but those temps will actually rise as we move through the overnight. Now, there's special weather statements in effect for pretty much everybody except for Cape Breton at this point. Wind warnings and rainfall warnings in effect for the Tri-County area. Fully expecting that those warnings will be expanded tomorrow once we get into the within 24-hour range of the rain and the wind ramping up for areas further west. It's all about timing with these warnings, right? They can't issue them too early. So those warnings, expecting especially the rainfall warning to be expanded a bit further, and the wind warning will likely be expanded, especially along the Atlantic coastline. That rainfall outlook, again, warning criteria for this time of year is just 25 millimeters, unlike the summertime 50 millimeters, and that's all because, again, the ground is frozen. That rain is going to hit and run off, and you can see that southwest pocket of the province. That's where we have our best chances of getting up into that 50 millimeter range, maybe even as much as 60 in through the Yarmouth and Shelburne areas. And again, amounts are going to drop off as we work our way to the east. Now, as we look into at the weather systems at play here, this is definitely a big storm, and it's causing problems all across the U.S. with thunderstorms here on the leading edge, temperatures tumbling on the backside of the system, -2 in Minneapolis, into the minus teens and 20s through the Canadian prairies, and yet 20s, even 30 degrees in St. Louis right now. So the warm air surging up ahead, the cold air coming in behind. That's the fuel for a storm like this. And as we look through tonight, you can see the clouds, showers, drizzle. And note the temperatures ticking up again. By tomorrow morning, we're starting widespread 7 to 10 degrees, and we'll likely sail into the 8 to 12 range for many of us tomorrow. Note the rain really kind of ramping up for western areas as we move into the afternoon tomorrow, and then this will track eastward. Now, despite the fact that there won't be any rain, I do think we'll see some shower chances, some drizzle, just a cloudy day for the most part for Cape Breton. Winds will gust to 60 by the end of the afternoon tomorrow. Winds will also gust 50 to 60 for the Northumberland shore into the afternoon. For the Fundy and Valley region, widespread double digits here, winds gusting 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. A little cooler in those onshore winds, again, when the wind is coming in off the water. And also fog patches are going to be an issue, right? When you have the warmer air coming in off the cooler water, that's going to get the fog patches in the mix, especially along the Atlantic coastline tonight, and again as we move throughout the day tomorrow. Now, note the rain creeping eastward and will be at its greatest in terms of heaviness. Will really be coming down Wednesday night in through Thursday morning. And as we showed you earlier, look at the contrast here, right? Behind this front, those temps are going to tumble very quickly. Very similar story to what we had on Saturday. The difference here, not as much wintry precip on the backside of the system. A brief period of some freezing rain and ice pellets and snow, but not expecting much in the way of accumulation. Really, the big thing will be the temps just tumbling really quickly, and so untreated surfaces are going to turn icy really, really quickly. So that's going to be a concern for the drive home on Thursday, and certainly into Thursday evening. By the time we get to Friday morning, we're widespread minus double digits and teens. One quick just reminder that the winds are going to be a factor with this. Power outage concerns, no doubt, for Wednesday night and through Thursday morning, when we gust 70 to 90 with 90 plus along parts of the coast, up to 100, certainly looking possible for coastal areas with this system. So yeah, the rain, the freeze up, the wind, it's all going to be a factor over the next few days. And then we are looking at temperatures rebounding all the way, highs of -4 Friday, but the weekend looks lovely, very spring-like. Showers creeping in for next week, Tom and Amy, but it looks like a very mild start to March, despite Friday, which will be a very cold start to March, of course.
Yeah.
It's the price of admission.
Yeah, kind of caught our eye, that's for sure. Okay, Ryan, thanks so much.
Thanks, Ryan.
Up next, I'll talk with Nancy Enningson of the Ecology Action Center about the Houston government scrapping the Coastal Protection Act. That's our Newsmaker interview.
Please stay with us. You're watching CBC Nova Scotia News.
People have been reacting to the Houston government announcing it will not proclaim the Coastal Protection Act. It has been passed with all party support back in 2019, but the government has now killed it, instead directing communities to online maps and other tools to make their own decisions about safe places to build. Nancy Anningson is with the Ecology Action Centre. She's been watching this file for some time with the provincial government. I know that working as an independent person here, you're looking at this through a different set of eyes. The government thinks it's doing the right thing. Why do you think this is happening?
I think the government has taken the easy route, and along the way they've actually thrown half a decade of expensive work into a garbage can. I want my taxpayer dollars back. They have decided that voters may not like them actually showing leadership along our coastline and putting proper regulations in place to stop us from doing dangerous things, and they're opting out by providing a little bow with a ribbon on top of things that mostly already existed. Sure, they're in one place and people can go to the one place, but tools that are not useful, and they're making safe building along our coastline optional.
Well, what about those tools? Because that's what the provincial government is pointing to, saying there is lots of information out there for property owners to make wise and sound decisions about what they do with their coastal properties.
Most of that information already existed. It's not whether or not people are making good decisions. It's that there are folks who want to build along the coastline in a way that's not reasonable and sustainable, and we need a government that's going to show true leadership and say, no, you can't do that. You have to build on the part of your property that's safe, and the regulations that were ready a year ago actually gave them a tool to do that, gave them a way of assessing a property to say, if you build here, it's okay. If you build here, it is not okay and you're not allowed to do that. And they just disposed of it. They decided not to do it. So,
property owners may listen to this and say, well, I'd like to do what I think is best for my own coastal property, and I'm glad that the government went this route and they consulted with a lot of people, and maybe this is ultimately what people along the coast wanted. What would you say to that kind of an argument?
I know the hundreds of people who are currently calling and emailing the EAC, who are the same people who submitted those missing emails that went into the government junk folder last year. They don't want that. They want safe, responsible development along our coastline. And so for the government to take the easy path and say, we're not going to shake the boat, we're not going to do what we said we were going to do, we're not going to lead on this issue, we're going to hand it back to the municipalities, it's deja vu. They were there back in 2016, 2017. They were struggling. They couldn't do it. They need development dollars to fund their municipal budgets. We needed leadership on this, and unfortunately we haven't had that.
So you mentioned the municipalities there. It does fall back to them now to sort of decide what happens in the coastal regions of their parts of the province. What kind of an onus does that put on the municipalities? What kind of weight does that put on them?
Well, number one, it's made it optional. Even the land use bylaw examples that they're going to provide, they're not saying, here are the tools for you to have, please implement these. They're saying, here's a little basket of things you can draw from. Some of those municipalities were actually working on vertical allowances, horizontal setbacks, back when the act was announced, and as the work continued, and stopped their work. Like, they were already ahead of the game, and you stopped them. You said you were going to lead in this way, and now you're like, sorry, we decided not to. And here's some useful things for you to draw from if you want to.
And I'm imagining a bit of a patchwork then if one municipality decides to go one way, vertical allowances, for example, or distances back from the shore at which you're allowed to build, and maybe the next municipality or the next county does not.
Exactly.
So what impact does that have on what is one coastline around Nova Scotia?
Well, that was the problem that was identified way back when the McNeil government said we need to do something about this. It was a piecemeal. We have, I think it's 54 municipalities, and a handful of them don't have coastline. All the rest, some were in great shape. They had really good tools, so they had trouble with enforcement. Some had no setbacks and were allowing development in really dangerous places, and things were flooding and people were at risk. And that was the problem that was identified so long ago. And Houston's government bought into it. The act got royal assent in 2019. Houston was there. He voted yes. He also, when he got elected in 2021, agreed to continue this work. And they've spent our tax dollars to create something that was ready to go last year. And now all of a sudden they have cold feet and they're opting out of leadership on the issue.
So this legislation, this piece of legislation is dead now. What happens? Is this issue gone?
issue just took a terrible turn. We are right back to where we were 7 years ago, and we have no leadership on coastal protection. We're going to continue to see, I'm going to have to start offering tours, driving around our coastline, showing people incredibly dangerous places, and after storms and disasters, showing the risky things that have happened to our citizens, the septic that is poured out into our healthy bays. We have no leadership on this, and we are back to a terrible, terrible place.
We'll leave it there. Nancy Henningsen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, the new Major League Baseball uniforms are not a home run with players. Some say they're flimsy and see-through.
It's 2-2.
Welcome back. Israel and Hamas are reported to be inching toward a new deal.
It's not expected to end the war, but it could lead to a significant ceasefire and the release of more Israeli hostages. The CBC's Abby Kuavasana has the latest.
U.S. President Joe Biden says there's a possibility of a ceasefire by Monday, but his optimism not shared by the other actors involved. Qatar is helping mediate talks, and their foreign ministry says there is no agreement at this time.
If there was an agreement, you'd see me here in a more cheer attitude.
But till now, we don't have an agreement yet, and we are still working on the negotiations.
The proposal worked out with Israeli officials is now with Hamas. An official with the militant group says Biden's comments around a ceasefire are premature. An Israeli spokesperson says the deal is not done.
Once we'll have something to make official, to announce, we'll make an announcement. That is not the case right now. We are still pursuing, as I said, diplomatic efforts behind the scenes.
On a late-night U.S. TV show, Biden also said Israel has agreed to stop its military offensive in Gaza during Ramadan if all the hostages are released. As recently as Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said IDF troops will go into Rafah even if the hostages are freed by Hamas. He also confirmed this week that they have an evacuation plan to move 1.4 million Palestinians in Rafah, which has not been made public. The U.S. does not support the displacement of Palestinians, but Biden's latest comments do focus on that unknown evacuation plan.
Israel has slowed down the attacks in Rafah. They have to, and they've made a commitment to me. They're going to see to it that there's ability to evacuate significant portions of Rafah before they go and take out the remainder of Hamas. But it's a process.
Reuters news agency is reporting the deal includes a 40-day pause in fighting, an exchange of Palestinian detainees for Israeli hostages at a ratio of 10-1, and more aid, which means 500 trucks for Gaza daily for the more than 2 million people in the enclave facing starvation. But the question persists. If Hamas is still demanding a full withdrawal of IDF troops and Israel says it must have indefinite control over Gaza for its own security, how can this gap be narrowed, if at all? Abby Kowaldason, CBC News, London.
Voters are casting ballots in Michigan's Republican and Democratic presidential primaries today. It is a key battleground state and the last major primary before next week's Super Tuesday. U.S. President Joe Biden is facing fierce criticism in the state over his stance on the Israel-Hamas war. Michigan's large Muslim population is outraged over what they see as Biden's unwavering support for Israel. Community leaders are urging Democrats to cast ballots as uncommitted in protest. That indicates a voter doesn't support any of the candidates on the ballot. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has a commanding lead in the Republican nomination race, but he is facing a block of Republican voters who favor his lone remaining rival, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. More than 1 million ballots were cast in advance polls. It is the first time early voting was available statewide. Polls close tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland's weekly economic update covered a number of issues today. Freeland and two of her cabinet colleagues talked about so-called green bonds, getting more competition into the grocery business and more federal spending to get more homes built.
Today, I'm pleased to share that we're going to be rolling out agreements with 8 different home building organizations through this fund across Canada. It's going to involve a total investment of $123 million from the federal government, which we expect will yield more than 5,600 homes, affordable homes across Canada.
The money will come from the government's existing Affordable Housing Innovation Fund. The builders will be developing and using new methods and technologies to get homes built more quickly and more economically. The money will also be used to help young people get into the housing market through rent-to-own and shared equity programs.
And a new real estate survey suggests more Canadians are waiting for signs that interest rates will drop before making the decision to buy a home. It says many potential buyers have sidelined their dreams of home ownership since the Bank of Canada began raising its key lending rates nearly 2 years ago. Scott Peterson has the details.
This report out this morning gives us a real litmus test as to the thinking that Canadians have before getting into the real estate market. And there's a lot of money on the sidelines. We know this anecdotally as far as people hesitating getting into the market until they get a sense that the interest rates are coming down or until there's an actual announcement. This is why this report from Royal LePage is interesting. And that is a large percentage of people, 56% of people are postponing their property search as a result of rising interest rates. And that goes back to March 2022 when the Bank of Canada first started raising interest rates, and we saw a pullback in the real estate market proportionally there. 51% of Canadians are planning to get back into the market as soon as there is some drop in interest rates, and 10% of those surveyed say that they only need a drop of 25 basis points for them to begin to jump back into this real estate market. Now, among those ready to jump back in, 44% on planning to get a fixed rate mortgage, either a 4-year or 5-year. By far, that is the most popular mortgage vehicle out there. 22% say that they plan to get a variable rate mortgage, even though variable rates are beneficial in an environment of lowering interest rates going forward. Now, following the first rate hold by the Bank of Canada, that was last March, there was a surge of economic activity within the real estate market, but the authors of this report expect to see a real surge by this spring, and at that time we are also expecting to get some sort of indication from the Bank of Canada as to when interest rates are coming down, if not an actual announcement thereafter. And there is one caveat with this. Royal LePage, of course, is in the business of selling real estate, but they see a very strong market coming this spring. Scott Peterson, CBC News, Toronto.
A deal has been reached for the launch of a national Pharmacare program in Canada. It hasn't been introduced yet, but some Canadians are already being told they might not be part of it. Alberta has announced plans to opt out. The CBC's Julia Wong reports.
For 29 years, Leslie Thompson has lived with diabetes and juggled the costs around it.
Type 1 diabetes is super costly. You have your cost of insulin, you have blood glucose strips. If you're on a continuous glucose monitor, there's that cost.
Thompson was thrilled by news of a Liberal NDP deal to lay the framework for a national Pharmacare program that would cover contraceptives and diabetes treatments. But Alberta says it was not consulted and now says it plans to opt out.
Delivery of healthcare is a provincial jurisdiction. The federal government is overstepping their authority here.
Instead, the health minister says Alberta will ask for its share of the per capita funding to enhance existing programs.
Give us the dollars, allow us to actually enhance the programs that we have rather than create more bureaucracy.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, one of the architects of the deal, is expressing disappointment.
I think it'll be very difficult for the Premier in Alberta to explain to people in Alberta who can't afford their diabetes medication why they're turning down an investment that would cover everyone in that province.
A national Pharmacare program would ease the burden on the healthcare system, this doctor says.
If you have women who don't have unwanted pregnancies, so if you've got patients with diabetes who are able to, check their blood sugars as often as they want to, take their medications, check their blood pressure, you have a healthier population.
As for Thompson, she wishes Alberta would opt in to a national program.
We need help covering it. The cost for taking care of yourself with type 1 diabetes is a burden.
In a statement, Federal Health Minister Mark Holland says the government plans to table Pharmacare legislation in the coming days. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
The government of British Columbia has issued a formal apology to members of the province's Doukhobor community. Decades ago, families from a Russian pacifist sect known as the Sons of Freedom were torn apart in a dispute over education and language. The CBC's Lindsay Duncombe has that story.
This is an incredibly emotional day for Doukhobor survivors and their descendants. About 24 came here to Victoria to hear the apology. They gathered on the steps of the legislature and sang and prayed in Russian, a language they were not allowed to speak as children. Many had waited decades to hear this apology from BC Premier David Eby.
Today, on behalf of the province of British Columbia, we acknowledge and apologize for these past injustices.
The children were Doukhobors, Russian Christian pacifists. A Doukhobor group known as the Sons of Freedom clashed with government and law enforcement. They didn't want to send their children to public school, so the government captured the kids and forced them to live in a former tuberculosis sanitarium. They could only see their parents twice a month, and families were separated by a chain link fence.
This is where the healing's going to start. They'll apologize, compensate me. 78, I could enjoy my life. Apology was great. Compensation, a slap in the face.
This apology comes with $10 million in compensation. Now, that money is earmarked for healing and for education. But for some survivors, it's not enough. They want to see checks cut to them. They want personal compensation, and they say that is a fight they're going to continue. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Victoria.
Major League Baseball players are up in arms over an apparent wardrobe malfunction. Many say the new uniforms look cheap, feel flimsy, and are unattractive. To make matters worse, the pants appear to be see-through. Thomas Daigle has more.
With spring training giving baseball fans a first look at their favorite teams,
He's 2-2.
New uniforms are providing a view many never asked for. Posing for pictures, players' pants can now appear see-through. With a shirt tucked in, the look has been described as vaguely resembling a diaper. As for those redesigned jerseys, well,
the names and the numbers have shrunk to Lilliputian size.
I hope this is helpful to some of you.
Mike Hauser collects Toronto Blue Jays jerseys and bought the new one right away. He posted this video comparing the authentic products from last year and this year.
It kind of feels like a tea towel.
As soon as I opened it, I realized these are not upgrades. They're charging me more money for way less of a product.
On the Blue Jays' official online shop, the new top-of-the-line Vladimir Guerrero Jr. jersey costs $629.99. Designed by Nike and produced by sportswear maker Fanatics, the new uniforms come after a 6-year redesign process.
This was done in order to make the jerseys lighter and more with a better athletic performance for the players, but that still doesn't hide the fact that aesthetically, it doesn't look pleasing.
From players, reviews are mixed, with LA Angels slugger Mike Trout posting, "Change can be good, and I'm a big fan of these." While Blue Jays outfielder Kevin Kiermaier tells the Washington Post, "I like last year's way better, and my opinion matches a lot of opinions in here."
They have been tested more extensively than any jersey in any sport.
Mike Hauser already returned his for a refund.
If they have to, go back to using what wasn't broken.
Major League officials are listening to player feedback, but so far there's no plan for any further change before the regular season starts in late March. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
For news you can trust, we have the latest on what's happening in your community and a weather forecast you can rely on no matter where you are in Atlantic Canada. I'm Amy Smith.
And I'm Ryan Snoddon.
Join us for Atlantic Tonight,
right after the National.
It was the big melt today. You can see a lot of those snowbanks slowly getting down there.
And I'm thinking even more so with the weather that's coming.
Definitely. And so that becomes a concern again, like Saturday with the melting snow and the rain and the ponding and pooling water, the risk for some localized flooding. You know, last weekend we saw most of the flooding in Cape Breton, Victoria County in particular. This time it's going to be more of a southwest Nova Scotia threat for that. With the heaviest rain there, as we'll show you in a sec. First and foremost, our viewer picture of the day. And we're going to zoom in on Halifax. And yeah, you talk about a changing season. Look at this shot, beautiful, from Robert Abraham. And that is, of course, the Oval there. How many more days for the Oval?
Yeah. Days may be numbered.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. As we look at, again, double digits tomorrow in the Halifax area, 8 to 12 across the province with those southerly winds gusting 60, even 70 by the end of the day, and is picking things up here Wednesday evening. And note that rain and the very gusty winds as well. We're going to widespread gust for Wednesday night into Thursday morning, 70, 80, and 90 kilometers per hour. Note the arrows going from south to north ahead of the cold front, and then from west to east, those westerly winds will be coming in behind the cold front. That will usher in that much cooler air. Temperatures will free fall through Thursday morning into the afternoon, turning things icy, and then, a much cooler air mass in behind. There's that quick look at that rainfall map, and we'll show you that 7-day cold Friday, but that is about it.
Yeah, heating up after that. All right, a UK company is creating a lot of buzz at its farm in central London.
Yes, it's where the startup is growing insects as sustainable food for farm animals.
It's the fastest growing insect. You can feed it on the widest range of inputs, so anything from animal manure through to food waste. So it is the quickest, cheapest, most sustainable insect to farm, and it's a non-disease, non-pest species that's found all over the world.
The company's research center breeds an army of these protein-rich bugs.
The black soldier fly is often mistaken for a wasp, but it neither bites nor stings.
Insect protein is seen as a highly sustainable alternative to traditional animal food, which has a much larger carbon footprint. These flies could also potentially help cities by chomping down food waste.
Lots
Who's
of
hungry?
Huh? Yeah, no kidding.
Summertime.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.